After looking at a pair of train sim world routes recently, I wanted to revisit TS Classic and the Caledonia Works arsenal for the next review. But instead of being a new release, today's subject is one of the oldest add-ons from the aforementioned developer, namely the Caledonian Railway 294 class, also known as Jumbo for some reason. If you're wondering why I've got that specific consist set up with this specific engine, this is intended as an homage to episode 13 of Grey's Trains. The 294 Jumbo was notable for being the most numerous class on the Caledonian Railway, with 244 examples built between 1883 and 1897, originally to the design of Dugald Drummond. These engines were intended for freight work, but could also take passenger trains too, and turned out to be popular with locomotive crews throughout their lives. To me at least, the Jumbo bears a strong resemblance to the London and South Western Railway 700 class, another 060 designed by Mr. Drummond, but only the original condition 700, as opposed to how they looked when rebuilt with superheaters and extended smoke boxes. Personally, I prefer how they look in their rebuilt condition. Some of the 294s even went across to France during World War I, but returned home by the end of the war. They were a successful and long-lived class, with nearly all examples surviving into both LMS and British Railways ownership. Withdrawals began in 1946, with the final survivors going in 1963, but despite the sheer numerical size of this class, none of them have survived into preservation. Thinking back to the LSWR 700 class for a moment, they would all suffer the same fate as their Scottish cousins, sad to say. The 294 class was released for Train Simulator in June 2018, and as of late September 2025, she is still available to purchase from Caledonia Works' website for £15, or around $34.54 NZD, at full price. For anyone who's new to Mr. Wilson's work, he has modelled a vast array of Caledonian Railway locomotives for TS, more than just the 8 I've set up here, as well as plenty of steamers from other UK railway companies, such as those that are about to run past the yard here at Carlisle Upperby, albeit dead in tow behind a Class 52. Besides the original Drummond condition engines, this pack also includes the modified variants built under John Lambie, not to mention 2 different tender types. As for the liveries and variants, there's a staggering 28 included in this pack, but for the purposes of this video, I've tried to simplify the list. You get Caledonian Railway Drummond Blue, 1883 to 1887, CR Classic Dark Blue, 1883 to 1887, CR Goods Black, in either 1883 to 1887 or 1887 to 1895 conditions, CR Dark Blue in either 1887 to 1895 or 1895 to 1923 conditions, CR Royal Blue 1887 to 1895, CR Light Blue 1895 to 1923, Railway Operating Division Black, LMS pre-1927 Black, LMS post-1927 Black, British Railways Transitional Black, with what I think is Gill Sans lettering on the tender, BR Plain Black, with either the early emblem or late crest, BR Rail Tour 1, with painted smokebox wheel and star, and BR Rail Tour 2, with red number plate and a stovepipe chimney. My favourite livery is a tie between the original Cali Drummond Blue and the 1895 to 1923 Light Blue, while my least favourite is the 1887 to 1895 Royal Blue. This is because I don't like the combination of reddish brown and dark blue. Meanwhile, I noticed something on the post-1927 LMS Black in the form of the shed code being placed unusually high on the smokebox door. Usually the shed code would be placed below the smokebox dart with a number plate above, but in any case, this and most of the BR liveries also have a variant equipped with a stovepipe chimney. Personally, I prefer the more conventional lipped chimney over the stovepipe one, but each to their own. Here's a comparison between the two tender types included in this pack. That's the Lambie tender on the left and the Stroudley tender on the right. The pre-1887 liveries only have a dot between the CR lettering on the tender, while the post-1887 liveries have either a dot or a crest. Personally, I prefer how the tenders look with a crest. In any case, there is so much variation included in this pack that it's hard for me to remember it all. To me, and maybe other people as well, the 294 class looks like the more well-known 812 class, only a little smaller, and not as powerful, with a power rating of only 2F. As for the Jumbo's features, she doesn't have the more advanced kit that you'll find on CW products with Locomotion 2.0 scripting. Case in point, the LMS Patriot 460. But what the 294 does have was still good for its time. Just for a quick texture comparison, here's the 294 class alongside a more recent CW locomotive, namely the London and North Eastern Railway E4 class 240. The features include, but are not limited to, Performance Mode, which is toggled on or off by pressing Shift P, fully animated Stephenson valve gear inside the frames, fully detailed cab, with most of the fittings being clickable, custom rail tour headboards on the later BR variants, numerous cab camera views, accessed by pressing 1, then cycling through the left and right arrow keys, authentic lamps and route indicators, sourced from a 1915 Caledonian Railway guidebook, and finally, sounds recorded from the preserved 812 class 060 number 828. In the manual, it says that you can press the H key to set the header code lamps, but what I've found while using the LMS and BR variants is that, if you just rely on pressing the keyboard, only the last of the 10 header code options will appear. It turns out that you have to click the headlight symbol on the F4 heads-up display for the full set of head codes to appear. Much like the 721 Donalastair class 440, which I reviewed earlier in 2025, there is no functioning ejector on the Jumbo. Instead, pressing the J key brings up a storm sheet over the cab, then cycles through 2 different stars for the smoke box door and a set of route indicators, although I'm not sure if these are supposed to be on the lamp iron at the same time as a lamp. In any case, another feature shared with the Donalastair is this little animated rod in the Westinghouse air pump, although not all variants of the 294 class are fitted with this pump. Based on what I've read in the manual, the driving technique for the 294 class is pretty much the same as it is for the 721 class. Feel free to watch my review of the 721 for a more in-depth explanation of this somewhat unusual technique. Perhaps the most unique thing about driving the 294 class is what the manual advises you to do. That is to say that you should leave the regulator between 50 and 58% and use the reverser to control the speed instead. 40% cutoff is the ideal setting for when you're on level track, but the reverser should be set further forward if you want to accelerate on an incline. According to the add-ons manual, this is how Caledonian engines were typically driven in real life. There are some quick drive consists included with the 294 class, but I don't remember what DLC is required for them, nor am I aware of any TS routes that are actually set in the Caledonian Railway era. As an alternative, I like to run the engines from said company on routes like the Coniston branch, Crabenmore branch, or Western Lines of Scotland, despite Coniston being in the Lake District as opposed to anywhere in Scotland. Although the Jumbos primarily hauled freight trains, I prefer to run them with passenger coaches myself. In this case, I was using some of the Matrix Trains LMS Period 3 stock that comes with CW's LMS Princess Royal Pacific. As is usually, if not always, the case with CW products, the 294 class is a high-quality locomotive, but she won't punish you if you don't know how to drive her properly. In other words, the controls are ideal for players who prefer a more casual driving experience, as opposed to trying to drive the really advanced engines, such as PLD's Great Western Castle 460 and Smokebox's Union Pacific 440 No. 119. In closing, I am of the opinion that CW's rendition of the Caledonian Railway 294 class has aged well. This engine is ideal for trundling along a branch line, or a short section of the main line, with a few coaches or a short set of wagons in tow. The 294 pack presents good value for money, in my opinion, with the sheer amount of included liveries and model variants being comparable to what you'll see in a lot of CW's more recent add-ons, such as the LNER A3 and A4 Pacifics. As for where I'd rate this delightful Scottish 060, I think she deserves a 7.5 out of 10, and if you've stuck around to the end of the video, you've won a factory for putting food in tins that used to be owned by one of the James Bond actors. It's the Sean Cannery,